Hey y'all, it's Woody Overton, the host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, and you're listening to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Hi, I'm Trisha Johnston, residential realtor with Ladder & Bloom with your real estate tip of the week. If you're a homeowner with a mortgage, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to pay that mortgage off early. There are several options to get that done, but the first step is to make sure there's no prepayment penalty on your current mortgage. If not, the first option is to make one extra payment throughout the year. That can be done by adding a little extra to your monthly payment, adding a little extra once a quarter, or just making that one extra payment sometime during the year. The full amount will go towards principal, not principal and interest. The second option would be to contact your mortgage company to see if you can change your payment plan from monthly to every 2 weeks. Again, make sure there's no extra fees associated with that. And then the third option would be to contact a mortgage company to see if it makes sense for you to refinance at a lower interest rate in a shorter period of time. If you shorten the period of time, your monthly payment might go up a little bit, but the mortgage will get paid off a lot sooner. The one caveat about that is to make sure that you're not planning on selling your house within the next few years, because there's some expenses involved in refinancing. You don't want to pay to refinance and then sell your house within a year or two. I hope this information has been helpful. I'm Trisha Johnston with Ladder & Bloom, and I'll be back here next week with another real estate tip for you.
Hi folks, I want to tell you about Denham Springs Fit Body Boot Camp and their 28-day, $77 Jumpstart program. There's no strings attached and really no reason not to try. You can be in and out in just 30 minutes, and best of all, these 30-minute sessions are scheduled throughout the mornings and evenings to fit your busy schedule. These 30-minute sessions are fun, positive, encouraging, and you can even sign up online. Just visit getfitdenhamsprings.com. Denham Springs Fit Body Boot Camp, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. All right, so welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast, and today we have Chase Tyler in studio. Chase, how are you?
I'm doing well, Jim. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love it, man. I've been to many a concert with Chase Tyler, headlining and also doing some opening for some other folks, and you rock it, man. Every time you're on stage,
we have fun. I don't know about rocking it, but we have a good time.
No doubt about it. And what I love about you is you're a Livingston Parish guy, right?
I am born and raised right here in Denham Springs.
Yes, yes.
Very proud of that fact.
I'm very proud of it as well. And you, people may notice that I have a Denham Springs outfit on today, and Denham Springs, congratulations. You made the playoffs and you won the first round against Zachary.
They're killing it. Yes.
Man, I got
Coach
a rep.
Beard, man. He's really, he's done awesome things with that team.
Yeah, he's intense.
Yes.
Dude. Big old dude.
Dude, he's huge. Yes. He's such a nice guy, though. He's a big teddy bear. Every time I see him, shakes my hand, gives me a hug. He's just an awesome guy. He really is.
100%. So shout out to Coach Beard. And I'm thinking if he's coaching me, I'm doing whatever he tells me to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I ain't jumping off sides,
I'm
Jay.
glad he's on my side is all I know at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to meet him in a dark alley anywhere, for sure.
That's right. That's right. So you're from the LP, which we're all very proud of. We love our hometown boys here. And you didn't just start singing last year, did you?
No, no. Unfortunately not. No, I've been around for quite some time. Man, it's crazy to think back on, because things pop up on your Facebook, every morning I get up and kind of look at social media stuff, and things will pop up, be like, 11 years ago, you were here. I'm like, oh man, you think about it, times like that, it goes like, it's just insanely quick.
Crazy fast.
But no, I've been singing for a very long time. My mom and dad actually they were in a band together before I was born or any of that, obviously. That's how they met. They were playing music.
Oh,
and
okay.
Both sides of my family played music. That's what we did. We're just a musical family.
Yeah.
So they met and had me, and there was just no way that I was ever going to get out without doing something musically.
Yeah, you didn't have a chance.
I didn't have a chance. No, it was just in my house and around our family all the time, no matter what. So it really started from an early age.
So were they singers, or were they played instruments?
My dad, so my mom and dad separated, obviously, and so my dad went on to form his own band, and my mom kept singing just around the house, and she's actually the first one that showed me how to play my first chords on the guitar. So that's kind of where it started for me when I was a kid. I mean, little, just music around, and then started playing the guitar. It didn't really take off for me until I was about 16. When I was about 16, that's really when I calmed down. I had, to make a long story short, I had major inner ear problems. Okay, so I had a major surgery. The left side, I have a lot of prosthetic bone and everything, so I lost a lot of hearing on my left side, had a big tumor on my eardrum, and to make all of that nastiness go away, I had surgery, so I couldn't play sports anymore. I was big into football, basketball, the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
So I was kind of a bigger guy growing up.
Yeah.
I was always a little bit taller than everyone, so I wanted to do sports. By the time I got 16, they were like, there's no way. You get hit the wrong way, or you can't do football, and you can't do any of that.
Oh, wow.
If you get hit the wrong way, you'll go completely deaf. So cut all of that out. No more sports. So I focused on singing, and 16 and on, it's been music ever since.
Yeah.
It just has, and I think it's worked out well for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
you enjoy
look, and you get a crowd out there every time you play. A lot of people, I guess the way I would judge it if I were in your shoes is how many people come back,
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have a lot of people that go to just about every concert.
Fans that have been coming out since, I mean, literally the first day that we started playing music as a band, and this is going back a decade now that I've had this band, and we've been, Chase Tyler Incorporated kind of situation. So they're literally people that are from the very first show that I've ever seen and done that are still coming out to this day. And that's awesome to see.
That's going to make you feel good.
It's friends, fans, family. Everybody's family by the end of the show, for sure.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, when you were 16, you kind of got real serious with this. And look, when we're all 12 years old, we say, I want to be this or that. I was going to be a running back for the Saints until I realized I was too slow, too small, and all that kind of stuff. But you saw it through. You kind of always knew this is where you were going to end up at some point, right?
I got fast-tracked very quickly. So, again, at 16, I started singing basically in like some karaoke competitions around the state. Yeah, and I mean, that was kind of, my parents had played music and all of that, so it was always around, but my mom and dad were divorced, and so it was really difficult going back and forth between them. So my real start was karaoke competitions and things like that. Well, I ended up winning a statewide karaoke competition right after I turned 16.
Wow.
From then on, it was like, this is definitely what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm going to focus on, this, blah, blah, blah. A year later, fast track to a year later, I am arrested.
Awesome.
Thrown out of school, expelled, the whole 9 yards, and
sounds like a band to me, brother.
That's the makings of the band right there. And a lot of people don't know that. It was a terrible time. I was going down a very dark road. From 16 to 17 years old was a very, very dark time. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, as you do when you're 16, 17. A lot of people have that same story. A lot of people don't get caught smoking weed at high school and get kicked out for it, though, like I did. And I did. It was my fault. I'm no one to blame but myself. And it happened, but it made me realize, like, I'm headed. I had a choice at that point in my time. 17 years old, just got expelled from high school, not allowed to do anything. I mean, I'm literally on probation. I had to go see the community service. I'm picking up trash on the side of the road at this point.
Yeah.
At 17 years old, like, I have a choice. I can stay this route, hang out with the same people, do the same thing that I'm doing, or I can do this route. And I chose the other path, and I moved from Louisiana, which was very difficult because I love Louisiana.
Absolutely.
I moved to Branson, Missouri, and I got into a show up there.
It's interesting too, Chase, that that was a point in your life where if it had to happen, that was probably a good time for it to happen. Absolutely. Because you almost got scared straight, right? Like you figured out I can lose everything.
I did there was a good 3-month period right after I was expelled to where I had no clue. What am I going to do now? Right. So I'm done with school. I was completely over it at this point. I'm 17. I'm not going to try, they expelled me for 2 years. So it was 2 years of no school functions whatsoever, no dances, no football games, nothing. So you are not allowed on school campus for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that was really difficult mentally to deal with. All my friends are going to dances and football games and basketball games. And I'm just like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, man. And you're at that age, you're.
Again, my fault. I'm not trying to place blame on anybody else.
Yeah.
Mr. St. Pierre, who is now principal
Walker's
Walker.
principal. Yeah.
Who's actually the one who called the cops on me. 100% in the right. He had every right to do so. I was in the wrong, but I like to tell that story.
Yeah.
So I had to learn quickly. It was either going to go one way or the other, and I just didn't want to go down that. I have too many friends that, I've seen do that and get expelled and do drugs, and I just, I wanted better.
Yeah,
I wanted better.
100%. So you head off to Branson, Missouri. And why Branson?
So again, the statewide karaoke competition. Someone, I literally just lucked up. Somebody was in the crowd and was like, "Hey, look, you're great, blah, blah, blah. We have some friends of ours that own a show in Branson, Missouri. We think you would be great for this show." And it was literally between the time that I got expelled and didn't know what to do with my life that I got a call from these producers from this show in Branson. There was, a 3-month period. I got expelled. I didn't know what to do. 3 months later, the phone rings, and it's like, we want you to come to Branson and audition for the stage show.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was just a sign.
It was like,
exactly. It was just, I'm at this point, I'm working construction and not knowing what to do with my life. And 3 months later, I got the phone call, come to Branson, we want you to audition for a stage show. That was a no-brainer. So I did. I went to, and I auditioned and got the part. I got the part. And so I was in Branson for almost 3 years. I went from different shows with, so I was in Mickey Gilley's show for a little while. And, Mo Bandy, if anybody remembers Mo Bandy from back in the day, just doing stage shows. And I did that for almost 3 years. And that, to me, and what I tell everyone, was my college experience.
Yes.
So that's where I got my stage experience, learning how to work a crowd and entertain and just perform. And that was a huge, huge turning point for me.
BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because one thing that blows me away watching you on stage is your ability to work a crowd. Man, it don't matter if there's 100 people there or 1,000 people there. Chase Tyler's all over the stage. Your energy is just something to be admired. I remember Garth Brooks one time. Yes. I went to one of his concerts, and he was well known for his ability to be energetic on stage. And an older gentleman when I went and watched him, but let me tell you, you wouldn't know it. Whether you were the last person way up at the top, and we know how many tickets he sells to a concert, they would feel like he was singing right to them. Exactly. He would go to the cheap parts of the, behind the stage people and stuff like that, and kind of work that crowd. But you remind me a lot of that, because you run all over the stage. You're jumping up and down and all those sorts of things. It's a
lot of fun, and I tell you that music moves you. It just does. It moves you, and it's not only that, Jim. I made a decision to go professional. I'm going to be a professional musician. So that means that no matter how many people or how big the show is or how small the show is, anybody that paid a ticket to get in to see me deserves the same show as I would give to 1,000 people. Right?
Yes.
So it's I try to do that to everybody, whether there's 1 or 1,000 people there. So that's just how I roll.
Love it, man. Well, I'll tell you what, it's impressive, and I've been to a lot of concerts, and you were one of the best at just kind of working a crowd. So you cut your teeth there in Branson, and kind of, I would call that earning your stripes in a way with
absolutely.
in your world. And so, did you ever get to the Nashville part of things?
So after Branson, the next logical step. At this point, I am 20 years old, right? Not, again, Branson was great, but my whole goal was always to move on and be Garth Brooks, right?
Yeah.
I'm 20 years old. Now I've got some experience in me. I'm going to go be Garth Brooks.
100%.
So I moved to Nashville. That's the next logical step. That's where everybody goes.
Yes.
It's Nashville. And Nashville was terrible. It was god awful terrible. Yeah. And I actually wrote a song about it, and it's called Broken Road for a reason, because my last image of Nashville was I got pulled over for running a red light, and ended up, it was 7 different violations on my truck. So I had no insurance, my no seat belt. I ran a red light. So it was speeding. It was something wrong with my license plate. My tent it was 7 different violations that they ended up popping me for.
Wow.
And it caught home when I was on the walk home because they towed my truck. I was in Nashville, and I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I've had enough. This was a year into it. I'm just like, I am starving to death. I'm bartending at Logan's Roadhouse to try to make ends meet. And I'm walking on the side of the road trying to get back to my apartment. And I called my mom. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is a year into it. I've had enough. So I did. I came home with my tail between my legs. Terrible, terrible experience.
Yeah. I can, and I've heard how tough it is up there, just from another guy. I hate to quote Garth Brooks again, but one thing he said was you could go to Nashville and you could walk in any bar in Nashville at any given time, and he said you probably find someone that sings better than me.
Absolutely.
That does, maybe they look better than me, but he said what he felt like separating was that ability to work the crowd and bring energy to what he's doing. But there's a lot of people, Chase, that are amazing singers
on the street
that
corner that are just that are so good, man. It is. You take a look around Nashville, and like exactly what he said. You walk down Broadway and go, what am I doing here? How in the world am I ever going to break into this madness? And I just never did figure it out till this day.
Yeah, well, don't feel alone, Chase. I mean, that might be 1% or something
Absolutely.
of the, it's insane. And that industry in general reminds me a lot of the political industry. It's extremely cutthroat.
So cutthroat. It is. The music business is just... I think Billy Joel said it best. If the devil was ever going to get into a business, he'd get into the music business. It just
Love it.
Is that cutthroat,
Yeah, Billy Joel, man. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, you're country, right? You sing country music. But are you just a country music fan, or are you a fan of all music?
Oh, I'm a huge fan of all music. There's nothing that I love more than I was raised on Skynyrd and Southern rock and that kind of stuff, blues, and very eclectic. I like all kinds of music, and I like to sing all kind of music. Our original songs are more country, Southern rockish, but I love rap even. There's
look,
just
Eminem on a
absolutely. It's a mood thing, and music is subjective. It just depends on your type of mood or your day that you're having, what you want to listen to, or what can put you in that kind of mood.
100%. And I'll tell you one thing that I notice even about myself is, I drive a lot, different places, and I would notice if I didn't take time to turn on the radio. Sometimes you just think you're in the car and you're thinking about what you got to do, but towards the end of the day, I would notice, man, I didn't listen to any music today. Yeah. My mood is different.
It's different.
I pop that music on, and yes, 100%. It is a very emotional thing. Music.
It is, and it just depends on the song. I mean, some songs can put you in a somber mood, and other songs, have the ability to make you happy and joyful. So
Yes.
it just depends.
And they can bring you back to a time, right?
Absolutely.
I can tell
Yes,
you
good times.
my first kiss, I can tell you what song was playing.
Really?
To this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, that's awesome. It's great.
I don't know if
memories
she
like that.
can, but I can. She probably forgot about it by
I
now.
want to remember it. I don't
God,
know. Who
don't say my
knows?
name. Don't say my name.
That's awesome.
But I really can. I mean, there's, and I'm sure everybody's like that, where you hear that song and you're like, man, I was 10 years old and
Yeah.
I was in Yogi Bear, or,
Absolutely.
whatever.
Music
So
has that ability.
it really does. What a beautiful thing. Now, at some point, you came back home and you formed the Chase Tyler Band.
Yeah. So I wasn't done traveling yet. So from Nashville, I'm like, my biggest thing is I'm going to go back home and start a band, right? That's the deal. So I did. I moved back home. I started a band, and that didn't go very well either. About a year into it, we're literally doing every daiquiri shop, around, which is great, and that's where you start.
Sure.
But it just wasn't pushing for whatever reason. So I got another phone call from some producers for a show in New York.
Oh,
Out of
wow.
all the world, It's
Yeah.
like, look, it's an off-Broadway play. We think you'd be perfect for it. We saw you in Branson, we know your stage performance and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, man, things aren't really working out great for me right now. At this point I'm 21 and I'm just like, I'm young. Let's go to New York. So I did. I went. They flew us to New York, and I spent 6 months at a theme park. It was a theater inside of a theme park up there in upstate New York, and an amazing time, experience, stage presence, the whole 9 yards, and it was awesome.
Wow.
And I really, really enjoyed my time up there. Again, a learning experience, just working crowds and doing the whole thing. But it still wasn't home. It
Right.
wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to do my own music, my own, situation in my own state. And so I came back to Louisiana and kind of got serious about it then.
Yeah.
I really, really pushed for really good musicians and good songs, and things started to turn around a little bit after that. Of course, after that, I met my wife. So,
Yes.
she's definitely been my biggest supporter and fan throughout the whole situation. So we've been together 14 years now.
And that's Miss Lindsay.
And that is Miss Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So, with her support and, everyone's support, family, friends, it kind of started to grow and push. And,
It's interesting how a lady can bring you balance and
Yes.
and really almost mature you.
Absolutely. I agree.
And I'm speaking of me. I'm not saying you, but
No,
both
it's
of
the
us
truth.
probably,
It
yeah.
is absolutely the truth. That's exactly how it works. They kind of ground you a little bit, and I've had a lot of support.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very blessed. Man.
Very good. So you do. You meet Lindsay, at some point you decide you're going to get serious, you're going to form a band. So what do you do at that point? Do you go say, "Hey, who wants to play with Chase Tyler?"
Basically, yes. So I had a few songs that I had written and a couple of things that I was working on at the time, and there was a song that my dad wrote, and it was called Louisiana, just Louisiana. And I'm like, man, this is a really cool song. I want to record it. So I did. So the president of the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame heard it, loved the song. He's like, man, so I get a call from him. He's like, man, I love your song, and this is great. I want to put it on a compilation album with some other Louisiana artists and do some stuff. I'm like, of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Please take all. I got more. So
Yeah.
He's like, well, this is Louisiana. It's about Louisiana. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So. He does. He takes the song, he puts it on the compilation album with Wayne Toops and a lot of other, all the Louisiana artists. It was a really, really big honor. We went to the governor's mansion and did some shows out there, and I did some shows with Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. And in 2011, they inducted me into the Future Famers category.
Yes.
And that was still a kind of a newer concept that they were coming up with. So I was the 5th member to ever be inducted into the Future Famers, and before me it was Hunter Hayes.
Wow.
So
another great
Louisiana, the whole operate. So man, I was pumped. I'm at the state fair and we're playing at the state fair. They come out, do this big production, bring me this big plaque and everything. You're inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, Future Famers category. I'm pumped. honestly, from then, things started to pick up. The fairs, the festivals, that kind of stuff started to come calling, and it became just a little bit easier to get, shows. It just did. With that comes, just grinding at that point. We're putting the band together. We're working on songs. We're working on albums. We're working on shows and how to improve everything about our look, our style, and just moving forward.
Hey ladies, it's Pate with Idaho Lane Spa and Boutique, located in Walker. We offer all things skincare, hair care, makeup, spray tan, lashes, and more. And we have a full selection of clothes. And we also do private events from birthday parties, bridal showers, and more. So stop by today and get your queen on, making every woman a queen. See you soon.
A lot of people will look at, and they'll kind of clown some country music artists that are mainstream, and we don't have to name any names, but they'll say, oh, they're not really country. But what they don't realize is a lot of these guys and gals are being forced to have that sort of image. They're great singers.
And a lot of your artists today, they don't have a choice as to where their music goes. They make music, and the people that are behind them, all their backers and all of their music reps and all, they decide what's really going on. The music today is a lot of, there's a whole different sub world that people don't realize what goes on behind actual music, and the singers that put these songs out have very little to do with where it goes and how it's being promoted. And that's just the way it is. It's the people that have the money that back them that make all the decisions.
100%.
I've talked to record producers, and I've never been offered a recording contract per se. I've been offered several contracts for radio promotion and for other things like that, and I've turned almost all of them down, basically because it's like, we will put you out on the road, we'll do this, and we'll pay for it, but we own you, kind of a situation. Like, we will take 100% of everything, we'll give you enough money to live on, and that's it. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to grow my own brand and not have to do that. I want to be like, I'd look at this point in my life, Jim, it's like this. I don't want to be Garth Brooks anymore. Okay. That time for me has come and gone. And I am especially with everything that goes on in the world today with politics, and I don't want to be a part of that world. I want to travel the Gulf Coast area, stay right here in my little sweet spot, and play music for what I want to do, and that's it. And if I don't want to go to Canada, I don't have to go, and I don't have to answer to anybody to do that. So I've kind of worked on that for myself and my band over the past few years now.
Fantastic, and it's I think, for what it's worth, it's a great decision, because you're right. They do, man. They own you at that point, and they are calling the shots, and you become almost an object.
It is. That's exactly it. They'll give you enough money just to live on, and then they take everything, and that's the music industry in a whole. And of course, there are always those artists that fall through the cracks and become huge success, and then they start their own record label, and they go, I'm going to make all the shots, but you have to have a lot of money to do that. And that's the great way to go about it. But man, with the way things are in the world today, there's a lot going on that I think it would be best for me to just do my own situation, not sign any contracts that I'm not comfortable with, and I just want to play music in and around the Gulf Coast area.
Love it.
That's it.
Love it. And that is your sweet spot. And everybody knows you around here, loves you. Now, let me ask you, I've always been intrigued to ask another artist, who do you think is a great in that industry? Someone, and I know there's a lot of them, but I'll tell you, in my opinion, I think one of the greatest artists in music history is Prince.
Absolutely.
Just an unbelievable guitarist and an unbelievable singer and an unbelievable stage presence.
He was literally the triple threat. He sang, he played, and he wrote almost all of his songs.
Yes.
It's insane. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And when Eric Clapton, when they say, what's it like to be the greatest guitarist ever? And he says, I don't know, you need to ask Prince.
Absolutely. It's like coming from Eric Clapton.
Oh my
because
gosh.
I think a lot of people are like, yeah, Prince is a great guitar player, but they don't realize how great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He really, really was in a field, all of his own. He really was. He was on a whole nother level. But yeah, the whole package, man. That halftime performance, right, with Purple Rain. It starts raining when he starts. Come on, that's amazing. Are you kidding me? You can't write this stuff. It was awesome.
He was an amazing talent, and
I agree.
Missed out. He was going far too soon, as a lot of them really are.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a hard life, and I would imagine when you're at that level, it's like kind of like a Michael Jackson thing. You just can't go out of your house.
I wonder at that point, do you get to where your circle becomes so small? Because who can you really trust, right? It's very hard to do. Who can you really legitimately, of course you have yes men around you, 24/7, but who can you really trust? And your circle becomes really small. And I'm sure that gets kind of depressing a little bit, and I know although you're adored by millions and millions of people, you kind of might be lonely a little bit, because you can't just go to Walmart or go hang out at a bar with some friends or something. You can't do that anymore. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to that is. But yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So who would you say?
Currently right now, as far as just who is popular and who is really amazing as an artist, a writer, a performer, everything. I think Bruno Mars has some of that same, gravitas that Prince does.
100%.
I think he's just such a great entertainer, performer. And he's got such a good voice. And I've never gotten to see him live. So I've just, we're busy whenever he's playing, and I can never go to a concert of his. But man, everything that I see about him or hear any songs that he does like kind of a throwback with the horns, and it's kind of like an old school funk sound too.
Oh yeah,
and it's such a great performance. All the videos and everything that he does. I just think I would really, really like to see him live.
Yeah, he's amazing, and I saw something on TV with, I think it was a tribute to Prince, and he did some things, and also Morris Day and the Time did some.
Yes.
It was great. They had the mirror out there, and the guy was fixing his hair and doing the spins, and I was like, man, I would have loved to see these guys in their prime.
Absolutely. Can you imagine?
Just dancing and doing the whole and yeah, that was great, man. But awesome. Made me think of that when you said that. So you're not the only one. People may be surprised that sings in your band. You have someone else that sings.
I do, yeah.
Tell us about her.
So listen, there's only good things that can come from hanging out with Amber McCann. She's from South Carolina. That's where she was born, and she lived in Texas she grew up in Texas and kind of moved over here about 8 years ago to Louisiana. So she's an implant, but one of the sweetest ladies on the face of the earth, period, and has the voice to back it up as well.
Yeah, absolutely, beautiful voice.
So yeah, she is just amazing. We found her through just mutual friends, and it's a very small network of musicians and singers and artists in South Louisiana, and a lot of us know someone else in another band who knows someone else in another band.
Yes.
So I was just looking for someone to do a duet with. Like, I'd like to bring in a female for a song at the Texas Club one time, and I know Amber, I know it. So we brought Amber in, and I'm just like, after we sang, I'm just like, look, how about you come on full time? Let's just do this. You just join the band and forget anything else you're doing. Come on with us full time. And that was about 2.5 years ago now. So, man, she's really elevated us, and just her personality and her vocals and her stage presence is so awesome. And she's such a pleasure to be around.
Yeah, and a great singer in her own right.
Great singer in her own right. She's amazing.
Yeah, and I would imagine that for you is also a benefit. It gives you a good break in between.
I take a sip of water or something, and she carries the show without ever slowing down in any way, shape, or form. And people love the dynamic between us because we do female songs now. So it's not only just male driven. Now, you know, she'll do 8 or 10 songs a night in every show, and we do songs together, and people really, really love it.
That's a great point too. Yeah, you can get the female songs out there that people love, and she belts them out and does a fantastic job with that. Fit Blends of Denim Springs can help you with everything from meal prep to supplements. I love it that they serve breakfast all day in addition to the best ultra healthy wraps you can really get anywhere in Livingston Parish. They are home of the $5 Smoothie Friday and are an amazing sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Fit Blends Denim Springs, fast, fit food for you. Now y'all form the band and you're rocking and rolling and you're getting things are kind of moving in the right direction, and November 24th, 2019, you actually did an amazing thing with the New Orleans Saints. Tell us about that.
Man. So our good friend Carly McCord with 100.7 The Tiger, who passed away. So she was there. I don't know what you would call it. She would go around and talk to people on the Jumbotron, you know, in between quarters and things like that. So she had an in with the Saints, and she's like, look, I know the people's email. Email these people, tell them who you are, and tell them what you can do, and send them a video of you doing the national anthem or whatever. So I did all of that. Immediately they came back, and we'd love to have you at a game, you know, and please, you know, come here, be here at this time. And nerves, 100%, you know, as soon as you get the email, because you get an official letter from the Saints, and it's exactly what you think it would be. It's just big gold envelope, you know, like the whole Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and flashing back to you, you know, Saints.
I've got the golden ticket.
I've got the golden ticket. It was amazing. I actually have it framed in my office at home. So
that's awesome.
It's a really cool thing, right?
Yeah.
So you know, you go early, and they have you go into the dome before really anyone gets in there. So it's like the football players are warming up and everything. Drew Brees is right over there, and Sean Payton's right over there, and everybody's warming up. And they're like, we want you to go. You have to rehearse. You got to go sing the anthem right now. I'm like, 50-yard line, and there's maybe 100 people in the whole stadium right here, except for the football players that are all around me at this point. You know, I'm on the 50-yard line. I'm singing the anthem as a warm-up, and just trying not to, you know, drop the microphone or fall down on my face or anything like that. So I do it, and, you know, that's really the most nerve-wracking part is after you do the warm-up, because they take you back to this little room, and you wait for 2 hours. Now we're going to sit here, wait for 2 hours, and we'll be back to get you when it's time. And you're just sitting there, you know, like, oh, God, you can hear announcements going on. You hear people coming in. The stadium's starting to fill up. And you have 2 hours to sit in this little room and think painful. About what you got to do now. So finally the time comes, and they're like, okay, are you ready? And so I do. And of course they have my name on the door. It's all official, Saints logo all over it and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, Anthem singer, that's hung up in my office as well. But so it's if you've ever been to a game, which, Joe, I know you have, it's build up as the players are coming out, build up, spotlight on Chase Tyler. Boom. That's it.
That's right.
There's fireworks going off. All the players are running out of the tunnel, blah, blah, blah. And then it is complete silence.
Yes.
And it's like spotlight on you, 50-yard line, hit it. And it is, you know, you can imagine the nerves. And you know?
And you're singing the national anthem. People get serious when you jack up the national anthem, right?
I'll never forget it like it was yet. I mean, it was just complete silence. All eyes are on you. Hit it. And I did.
You did.
I did a great job.
Nailed it.
I never say that kind of stuff, but I go back and watch the video knowing how nervous and terrified I was at the time. It was an awesome performance. It really was.
I'm going to tell you what, it is well known that is one of the best national anthems ever sung in New Orleans Saints Stadium. And People, it kind of thrust you onto a national stage like no other.
It really did. That video has gotten thousands and thousands of views, and I get finished. I run off the sideline, and I'm walking back down the sideline, and I feel this tap, and I just turn around, and it's Sean Payton. No idea. Well, like,
Yeah.
So I'm shaking it. And he's like, that was one of the best performances that I've heard. And I'm like, you didn't have to say that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it. Shook his hand, and it was a really cool experience, especially to hear that right then.
It was amazing, and not the easiest of songs to sing.
No.
Definitely not the easiest of songs to sing under pressure like that.
In the stadium, to 60-something thousand people that are, it's really hard to hear. There's all kind of echoes going on. It's not the best, that you can do. But I really enjoyed the opportunity.
Yeah,
Very
and we're going to link in the description of this video that video, so people can. They're going to be like, "Man, I want to hear it now." And you scroll down, you're going to see a link there. Click it; it'll bring you right to it on YouTube, and you can check that out. Yeah, it was really good. Dane Arnold with iTrade Exchange has been enabling small business in the Livingston Parish area to save cash through his network of over 300 participating Livingston Parish businesses. Saving cash by trading services with other exchange members is what iTrade Exchange is all about. For more information, contact Dane Arnold at 225-205-3640 or visit iTradeExchange.biz. I actually heard you sing it live, a cappella, right there in North Park at a small event during COVID. And I'm gonna tell you what, man, my wife turned to me and she said, "That was amazing." I mean, you just got out there and just totally no band, no nothing. It was just Chase Tyler and a microphone, and you hammered it again. And I'm like, I should have been filming that.
It's nerve-wracking anytime I get to do it, but it's always an honor. I love to do the anthem because it means a lot to me and what it represents. But it is all, whether I'm singing it to 60,000 people or 60. It's a very hard song to sing, for one, just the octaves, the way that it worked. But it's an honor. It's always an honor to be asked. And since I did it at the Saints game, I've been asked a gazillion times to do it in other locations, and I can't always do it. And I hate that I have to turn some down just to time restraints or whatever. But it's always an honor. It's always an honor to do it.
100%. Now, we just mentioned COVID, and COVID reared its ugly head, obviously, in March of 2020. And I'm going to tell you what, there is no industry that got hit harder than the entertainment industry, right? That was
COVID.
I could not imagine the day you found out about COVID and you found out about all these restrictions and you were like, what? No bars are open, no venues, no nothing. And I'm sure you had things on the books, things scheduled.
Jim, so the end of 2019 was probably the best of my career, to date, because that was my second induction. Right after we did the Saints game, a week later, I was inducted into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, the Texas Club. That's the second induction. So that was literally my best, time frame from November to probably early March. We were killing it.
You were on
a roll.
Yes.
You could not. March 15th, 14th, I think shut everything down. March 14th, I canceled 6 dates that one day. They are calling in left and right, and I'm just, I have a text message with the band going, "This canceled. I'm sorry, I'm taking this off the calendar. This canceled. Sorry." By the end of March, I think we had canceled around 74 dates for that.
Oh
year.
my
so
gosh!
Fairs, because our job involves a large group of people coming together at one time, which is the one and first thing that got shut down immediately.
Yeah.
So all the fairs, festivals, casinos, all the concerts that we had scheduled throughout 2020 was going to be amazing. immediately canceled.
Wow.
And that was a really, really 2020 was very difficult. The bigger that you get, the harder that you fall, unfortunately, you know, and we had gotten to the point to where we've, you know, gotten sponsorships now, and we have sponsorship people we've made promises to these people. We can promote you here and here and here and here. And now they understood. It's not anything, you know, none of them were like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But there's nothing that was out of anybody's realm of vision that anybody could foresee happening, you know? So everyone understood and everyone was really nice about it, but it was very, very difficult. There was a lot of unpaid bills there that went on.
I mean, this is your full-time job, Chase Dollar.
This is the entire band. Everyone plays music for a living. So we're all just kind of like, what do we do now? You know, and some of us went out and got other jobs. You know, I drove a forklift for a year and a half in a warehouse, hoping I don't have any other skills, man.
Yeah.
This is it. It's been singing since I was 17 years old. Right?
Yes.
So I just you know, some friends of ours were lucky enough to be like, look, I can give you a job, you know, till you can get back on your feet and everything starts coming back. And I did. I had to take another job, and so did everyone else in the band.
Yeah.
Trying to play an acoustic gig or something outside where, you know, the government didn't know about it, kind of thing. You know, I mean, it was just like, we're going to hide it over here and just kind of, you know, secretly tell people. It was terrible. It was just terrible.
Just awful. And you know, like we said, that was your full-time job. That was the only thing you did. And the problem with all of that, even more than the shutdowns themselves, was nobody could tell you when it would stop.
No.
So it's like, is this going to be 9 years of just 6 feet and mask?
Who knows? And it just kept going. Well, that's the thing. Things would get like the spring festivals and fairs and everything. Like we're gonna reschedule. We're not canceling. We're gonna reschedule till the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. The fall gets here. We're gonna have to cancel that till next year. So it just kept going on, and we just kept rebooking some of the same things, and it was just terrible. No one could tell you an end. No one knew, and you know,
hairdressers and entertainment industry folks really,
absolutely.
Hairdressers were doing kind of the same thing. They were like, "I'm cutting hair anyway. Just come to my house."
You
got to make a living.
Absolutely.
You got to eat.
At what point do you just have to? I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell me about the day you finally found out you can do what you love to do again. I mean, that day that they said, "Oh, live bands are open again."
So we've been playing. There were a few things that we did outside of Louisiana to whatever reason, not to get political in any way, shape, or form, because I'm not going to do that. But Louisiana got hit, I think, really harder than some other of our surrounding states. So we were able to go to Mississippi and do some things. They were a little bit more lenient on some of their restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a couple of concerts that we got to do in Mississippi. It was a couple of things, and it was mainly everything was outdoors.
Right.
So everybody, that was the big thing. As long as you're outdoors and as long as it's less than 1,000 people, and then they kept making these crazy rules and not going into everything political, but there was some really crazy rules, and so trying to follow the guidelines is better. And look, man, some states and some counties and some parishes were more hardcore than others.
Yeah,
and some would go, look, just come in, play, we'll be fine, and go on. So there were a few rebellious shows that we were able to put on in secret, that the government probably still doesn't know about. But, look, when we finally were able to be like, okay, the mask mandate is up, that's a big one for us. Because wearing masks, and no one wants to go out into a crowd to try to wear a mask and do that whole social distance thing. You can't. We did several shows to where you couldn't dance. You were allowed to come in, but you had to stay seated. You couldn't go to the bar. So what's the point in even going out? At that point, it's like, man, it really got insane there for a little while. But I really now things have changed, honestly.
Yes.
And I hope that it stays that way. I know that we are here in November, and it's almost Thanksgiving, so 98% of the fairs, festivals, casinos, concerts, everything that we had scheduled for last year, this year, that have been moved are now rescheduled again.
Yeah.
And God willing, they're gonna we're gonna get there, and it's gonna happen.
That's right.
At this point, it's time.
I just don't see anybody stopping life anymore like that. I can tell you. I mean, it's,
Jim, I didn't think it would happen the first time.
Yeah,
it's
true.
I mean, like, I was like, because I'm hearing all these things that are coming down. Oh, they might shut this down. I'm like, no, they'll never shut. Come on,
dude,
they'll
people
never.
ain't gonna put up with that.
And then they do, and I'm like, well, they'll
Yeah.
never force everybody to wear a mask, and then they do. So
Yes.
I just don't, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you
I don't
never
know
say
what's gonna-
never
say
anymore.
never. I just don't know what's going to happen.
You know, it's well, you're back now full force. I actually just went to an event over at the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah,
and,
the Casa, yeah.
And it was amazing, man. That was just flat out fun.
lot
And
of
I'll tell you what, Chase Tyler, I watch him tearing down after the event. Look, he's pulling speakers. I'm like, wait a minute now, you the lead singer
look,
here.
I'm never one. Look, I don't mind helping out at all. This is what I do, and I have a great crew and team behind me, and they understand. Sometimes I can't do that. Sometimes if we're selling merchandise or taking pictures or what, and that's part of it. But if I have a chance to help, I don't mind helping. That's what I do, and I don't mind helping.
Well, I'll tell you, you rocked it out on stage, and I was there with a buddy of mine, Woody Overton. And I'll tell you, Woody Overton has an audience, right? And he's been a big supporter of yours, and he's a Chase Tyler fan. There's
I'm a
no
Woody
doubt about
Overton
it.
fan.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, they. And it's a funny story because our friend Carly McCord actually turned me on to Woody. I had no idea about the podcast, and she started talking to him and listening to him, and she actually got the whole band hooked on. We're all riding down the road with us listening to Real Life, Real Crime, talking about it at a certain point. So it's kind of funny how small the world is.
Yeah, it really is. And I actually learned of Woody Overton from Lori Goolsby because she was at my dentist. She used to work for my dentist, Dr. Doug. And so I knew her through that. And I saw her post one day. Y'all got to listen to this. You know how her posts are.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm like, what is she talking about? But I went and I listened to that very first episode that Woody put out, and I was hooked, man. I was like, wow. And I look back on that now, and I'm like, it's led to a really good friendship.
Absolutely.
Me and that guy.
Woody's an amazing guy, man. He really is. And that's the thing. So you listen for the first one, and then you get caught up. So I've been caught up now, and I listen to a new one every time it drops. But what I'll do is go back and start over.
Yeah.
And, go back through the seasons. And now knowing some of the things that I know, it's insane, really, to listen to some of them again for the third time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, man, you catch little things that you didn't realize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best at storytelling. There's no doubt. Now you've opened for some pretty big name bands: Three Doors Down, Leonard Skinner, Sam Hunt, Hank Williams Jr. Let me ask you: have you ever been like almost nervous to meet these folks? Is there anyone that it was like, man, I'm going to actually meet Hank Williams Jr. in person and shake his hand?
So there are times that a lot of this happens, like backstage, and it's very quick. You don't understand. Like Hank Jr. doesn't have a lot of time to hang out with anybody, and rightly so. He's Hank freaking Jr. He can do whatever.
That's right.
He wore a hat that night that said Icon. So when you can do
that's
that,
awesome.
you mean it, like you've made it. I don't have to do whatever I want to do.
That's
so
right.
A lot of these things are very quick with some of the really bigger artists, but. Man, I tell you what, it was really cool. That probably still one of the coolest things that I've gotten to do is I played golf with Tracy Lawrence. We opened up for Tracy Lawrence at the Texas Club, and I got to go and really spend the day with him. And he and I'll tell now because it doesn't matter. This was a couple of years ago. We shotgunned a beer on the 9th hole at Greystone Country Club.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments like, Tracy Lawrence,
man, shotgun a beer with him.
Yeah, shotgun a beer with him, and we spent the day together, and I asked him all kinds of a million questions, and of course he had a lot of great insights, and he's hung out with Merle Haggard for ever, and they were good friends back. So I asked him all about that, but that was just a really cool moment. I still get nervous meeting people, it's just especially people that you've looked up to for a very long time, and in the business and. But I tell you, some of the coolest guys, Joe Nichols, probably one of the nicest people I've ever gotten to just hang out and meet, and super, super awesome guy. Jake Owen, another awesome, nice person. Do you want to know somebody who wasn't nice, though?
Would love it.
Like the worst, Chris Cagle.
No kidding.
Very, very, and I'll tell anybody, and it's kind of a running joke now, but very, very terrible human being. And I'm not going to get into the whole story because that's a whole nother hour podcast that I can talk about, but very, very not a nice guy, and we'll leave it at that.
Wow. Well,
I'll
there you
tell
go.
The story one day, Joe.
I ain't never going to his concert.
It is a story, and it is legit. I can
jerk
understand.
to my people.
He was a huge, huge jerk, and I think he weighs about 400 pounds now, and is not singing anymore, and rightly so.
Karma.
He deserves it. I know that might be mean, y'all. Trust me, he deserved it.
No, look, karma's a.
It is.
You know what it is.
It is. It is.
William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast. I would hear that you were, and I know the answer now, but you were a two-time Hall of Fame, Louisiana Music Hall of Fame inductee. And originally I'm like, wait a minute, how the heck can you be a two-time? And Woody would say the same thing. Right. He's like, I don't know how that happens.
It just happens. So it's two different categories.
Right.
They're both in the Hall of Fame, but one is a future famer. So that was in 2011, and it's basically an award that says, look, we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame because we know that you're going to be a Hall of Famer, a Louisiana Hall of Famer. We know that you're working your way towards it. So the second one in 2019 is the legit. Yeah, you're in. You're in. You've made it. Yeah. So it's I am in there twice, and it's a very cool situation because there's only 4 people in the entire history that have ever done that. Now, I say that only because the first category had only just been started. Yeah. So I'm sure back in the day there would have been a lot more. Sure. But it's a very cool thing to do, and I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Well, we're going to get you a country music cowboy hat that says Icon on it.
Icon, absolutely, yeah.
You gonna wear that sucker?
I thought that was the coolest thing. I loved it, man. I really thought, I'm like, that's cool, because when you can get to that point and and be like, yep, he nailed it.
And him of all people would be the one to do that. I just could feel that about that guy.
He had the glasses, the beard, the Icon. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pimp right
the man right there.
He is, man.
Now, let me ask you, I'm sure you have some dates coming up, some things you'd like to maybe promote on that end?
So this Thursday, we're going to be doing what's called Rockin' the Row at Perkins Row. Yeah, kind of like a Live After 5 on Thursday night at Perkins Row. They'll set up a big production and everything right out there in the middle, in the common area, right across from the movie theater. And so that's going to be this Thursday.
This
coming Thursday, and we have this coming weekend is off. So I like to hunt as well.
Yeah,
as anybody, our good friend Woody does too.
Oh.
So
everybody else calls it Christmas time. He calls it hunting season.
That's exactly right. More power to him. I wish I had all that kind of time to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to take some time off to go hunting, and because I don't get very off. That's the downside when I take off. Everybody's got to take off, right? That's the only thing. So generally there's like 2 weekends a year where I'm like, okay, band, crew, here's the situation. These are the 2 weekends. Take vacation around that. You know what I mean? And just do what you got to do. So they do. Everybody's planning vacations and stuff like that right now. So the next biggest thing that we'll have coming up is New Year's Eve. That's right around the corner. We have a lot of Christmas parties and things like that in December, but New Year's Eve will be at the Crown Plaza in Baton Rouge.
Awesome.
That's always a big deal.
Yeah, I've been there before for their New Year's Eve festivities, and I think I might look into getting some tickets to that one, man.
They're going to be released, I think, December 1st. They're going to actually start with the ticket sales on that, and That is such a fun time.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that deal over there.
Yeah, I remember one year I went to that. I don't remember who was playing, but it was a great time. And when me and my wife left, it was snowing outside. The only time it snowed on New Year's Eve. Yeah, man. And I was like, you couldn't freaking write this stuff.
Absolutely. On New Year's Eve. You just never know.
Yeah, it was like little flurries. My wife has really curly hair, so it was like sticking. Yeah. You got snowflakes in your hair.
On New Year's Eve. Well,
I don't have hair, so.
Right. You don't have to worry about it.
I don't have that problem. It just bounces off of mine. It's crazy. Yeah. So so look for that, folks, on New Year's Eve at the Crown Plaza. And speaking of hunting, have you hunted with Woody yet?
I have. So I've been one time over to his place and I killed a huge hog. He's got a lot of hog problem over there. He's like, come kill them all anytime you want. So I need to get back over there. He actually told me at Casa, he's like, man, it's time. Come on. I'm like, you're right, and it is. So I definitely do want to go back over there. He's got a nice setup out there.
Yeah, and them hogs are serious, man.
They are serious.
They'll charge you in a heartbeat.
They will, and they're so aggressive. And, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy hunting.
Awesome, man. Well, good deal. I appreciate you coming on, telling us a little bit about your life, a little bit about what you got coming up.
So cool. Yeah.
Man, we are huge supporters of yours and always will be. So the things Chase Tyler has talked about today, of course, I'm going to link all that in the description. I'll keep everyone posted on those tickets for New Year's Eve, and when that comes out, I'll shoot something out on Facebook and let everybody know. You got anything else you want? Just shoot it to me, man.
And I appreciate. Look, guys, and what I tell everyone right now, the best way to support live music and bands in general is to go to their shows.
Yeah,
get out. And I know it's some people are still, I don't want to get out, and that's fine. Totally support that. Come out. Support your favorite artist. Doesn't even have to be me. Just live, venues in general. That helps everybody.
100%.
It's trying to get everything back to normal, and we are definitely almost there. Things are starting to open back up, and people are starting to come back out, and I'm starting to see crowds get bigger and bigger. So yeah, the best way to support a band or your local venue or artist or anything is just go to their shows.
Yeah, go to their shows and participate. Get out there and dance.
Yes, absolutely.
They love that stuff.
We do. It's so much fun. Bands feed off of the crowd, and the energy that you give to us, we give it back. So yes, enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on. Thank you all you listeners for listening, supporting Local Leaders, the podcast. We couldn't do any of this without the support of all our fans and all of that good stuff. So thank you very much. Until next time, I am Jim Chapman, reminding you love your community, support local business and local bands, and keep leading. Thank you very much. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all, from sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word. Black Sheep Creative understands the importance of digital marketing and your return on your investment. It's their aim to provide professional web and graphic design services at a price point that smaller businesses and startups can afford. Get in touch with them on the web at blacksheepcreative.com.